In the middle.
Recording in progress.
We'll call the planning board meeting to order on Thursday, August 10th, 2023 at 7:07 p.m. The meeting is being held at Town Hall as well as by Zoom under the authority allowed to do that. The Zoom is being recorded. Members in attendance are
Rick Woodland,
Dave Anderson, and
Dan Pasquarello.
nice.
Remotely.
appearing on Zoom. We'll open the 8 Cedar Street.
Yeah. And I can read this.
Did you write the waiting room? There's a couple of people I know.
Are there people in there? I'm sorry.
And just for my benefit, everybody here on 8 Cedar, or is anyone here for anything else? A few other things. Oh, the large. Mabel. Okay.
Thank you. The planning board of the town of Wenham, Massachusetts will hold a public hearing in accordance with the town of Wenham rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land, section 3363 on Thursday, August 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at Wenham Town Hall, 138 Main Street, Wenham, Mass. This hearing will be a hybrid meeting and will be held in person and virtually via Zoom, at which time all interested persons may appear and be heard in relation thereto. The link to the Zoom meeting is available on the planning board's agenda, which can be found on the town's calendar of upcoming events, wenhamma.gov, 48 hours prior to public hearing. Said public hearing is being held on the petition of Griffin Engineering on behalf of Sabatini Development LLC for approval of a 2-lot definitive subdivision plan for land located at 8 Cedar Street, map 18, lot 17. Plans and accompanying documents can be viewed online at town website or the planning coordinator's office during regular business hours. EMB Weeks Chair, Wenham Planning Board, published in the Salem News Thursday, July 27th and Thursday, August 3rd, 2023.
Great. Is the developer present?
Good evening. My name is Bob Griffin. I'm the civil engineer and representing Sabatini Development. Mr. and Mrs. Sabatini are here. Miranda Samasco, their attorney, is here, and David Jakewith, their architect, is here, in addition to myself. This project, of course, derives from the preliminary plan that was presented to you at your June 8th meeting. The board approved the preliminary plan and gave us a very specific list of recommendations to incorporate in our definitive subdivision plan. We've done that, and I'll describe those this evening. The plan is very similar in layout to that presented to you at the preliminary plan stage. And I see Margaret's got our plans up on the screen there, so if we could advance it to the next sheet, Margaret. This sheet shows the property, and we can see the heavy black line is the perimeter of the property. We have 2.4 acres of land off of Cedar Street, number 8 Cedar Street as the residence. And then we had a number of shops and sheds and existing structures out there from the former property owners' business activities. It's about 92 feet of frontage on Cedar Street. This is in the residential zoning district, which requires 40,000 square feet of land and 170 feet of frontage for conforming lots. It's also in the aquifer protection district. So let's go to the next sheet, please, Margaret. This plan shows the proposed division of the parcel into a private right-of-way and 2 lots. So the right-of-way is 250 feet long from Cedar Street back to the end. It's a 50-foot wide right-of-way, so the layout is 50 feet. We're proposing 22 feet of pavement, as you may recall from the preliminary plan. And the lots come, down this sort of narrow neck along each side of the right-of-way. And Wenham zoning regulations don't allow you to count that narrow neck towards the lot area. So I just want to assure you that you conform to the zoning requirements for both Lot 1 and Lot 2 without considering the area occupied by those narrow necks. So we have more than 40,000 square feet for both of those. And when we count the frontage along the right-of-way, we have more than 170 feet of frontage for both Lots 1 and Lot 2.
So may I ask a question? That last point you made, will you state that again?
Yeah, so Wenham has a zoning provision that says we have these narrow strips. And I'm not reciting the language exactly, but it basically eliminates that narrow strip there from counting towards the Lot 2 lot area. Same thing on Lot 1, this narrow area doesn't count towards the Lot 1 lot area. In fact, the area where you can stop counting it is that diagonal line there and that diagonal line there. So everything to the east of those diagonal lines doesn't count towards lot area. So we have to demonstrate that we have at least 40,000 square feet of land in each of those lots exclusive of those areas, and we do.
If I may just follow up, at the preliminary plan, there was a suggestion, I won't even say representation, I believe someone on your team, that without the waiver, the minimum law requirement would not be met. But that sounds like not what you're saying right now.
A different issue. I think that there are certain subdivision rules and regulations in Wenham, and we have asked for waivers for, I think, 4 different provisions of those rules and regulations. And if, for example, the diameter of the cul-de-sac at the end of the right-of-way, we're showing 90-foot diameter right-of-way and 80-foot diameter pavement as compared to a subdivision standard of 140-foot diameter property line and 110 feet of pavement. And so if you tried to fit that bulb into that area, it just wouldn't fit. Our lot is too narrow at that area. And so we probably would not have a Lot 1, Lot 2 type of layout here. So that might have been the provision that they were referring to.
So it's the waiver on the radius of the bulb that allows for the minimum dimensional lot sizes to be met.
I think, it's an important waiver.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. So again, just a little point. I think my pointer might be down here. Oh, there it is. So the dark black line is the property line. The next line, I think, is the edge of the gravel shoulder, and then the next line in is the edge of the pavement. We're proposing a 22 feet of pavement with 2 feet of gravel shoulders on each side. There's also
excuse me, does that conform to the subdivision bylaw?
No, that's a waiver.
The second waiver. The bulb is one, the width of that road is 2. You go through and explain okay, great, thank you.
One of the requirements are, yes, the recommendations from the preliminary plan application pertain to this radius here and the radius at the curb line. And so this radius is 40 feet, and we have 14 feet of lawn between the radius and the edge of the roadway, and so that makes that radius of the roadway 54 feet. So we'll talk about that a little bit as we go along, but that was a modification as compared to the preliminary plan layout. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, so this shows our proposed layout, and you can, a lot of things to see here, but okay, so we can see, the shaded gray is the proposed pavement, and it also includes, we're showing driveways, the house itself, the walkway from the driveway to the front door. So that's, and we wanted to determine all of that information about the lot-specific developments, because it all goes into our drainage calculations. We've provided you with a drainage report that shows that we decrease the amount of runoff from the site in all of the design storms, including up to the 100-year design storm. And we have, we're absorbing water into the site by some infiltration measures. There's an infiltration bit underneath the cul-de-sac right there. That's really the largest stormwater feature, but we also have some stormwater features near each house. We have dry wells picking up roof runoff. So there, and there, and there, and there, and there, and there. So 3 dry wells for each house, plus the infiltration bed under the proposed private way. And again, this will reduce runoff from the site. In fact, we've sized this infiltration field a little larger than normal. So this is sized so that it is, the capacity is basically a 100% in the 100-year design storm. So normally, in a 100-year design storm, the water would be flowing somewhere, but in this case, the infiltration system is large enough so that that won't happen. Now, the runoff...
Excuse me, Bob. Sorry to interrupt. Would you mind raising the microphone a little bit? I'm having a hard time picking you up.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll try to stay closer. Thank you. So the runoff from the road gets into our infiltration system. There's a catch basin here and a catch basin here. So these are just off the edge of the road. So we're letting water from the road go off the edge over the gravel shoulder and into a small depression on each side. And we also have a catch basin in the middle of the turning area here. So the turning area will be sloped to the catch basin. Then the water goes, after it is treated in those catch basins, it goes into what's called the water quality structure that's located there. That removes more sediment and oil and debris from the storm water, and then it allows it to go into the underground infiltration chamber here. These on-lot dry wells that I referred to a minute ago receive roof runoff, so we have clean water going into those dry wells. We have some utilities in the street as well. It's a little hard to see, but we have a water line connecting the house along here, coming out to Cedar Street, and then we also have on this side, there's a water line from the house coming here, going out to Cedar Street, and that gets us to another one of our waivers. So the subdivision regulations require an 8-inch minimum water main. This, I think, came up at the preliminary plan stage, and we had received some correspondence from the water department at that time. We had suggested putting in an 1.5-inch main down the private way, then splitting off the 2 houses, and they said no, they'd rather have 2 separate lines feeding the 2 houses. So we've modified the plan to incorporate that. So we have 2 1-inch water lines, each feeding the houses. We have underground electric telephone cable. We've got sort of a telephone pole in this particular area, so we come underground from there, then down the road off to each house with the electric telephone, cable TV. So we've talked about drainage. Oh, and then the sewage from each house, the septic systems. At the beginning of June, Sabatini Development hired an engineer to go out and do official perk tests with the Board of Health present, and so that's what we have in these boxes here, and these boxes here. So again, excellent soil conditions observed. So we have gravelly, sandy soils down to 10 to 12 feet. That was as far as the excavator could go. We observed similar conditions here in the infiltration structure here. So we know that we have throughout the property excellent soil conditions, able to support both the on-lot septic systems and the infiltration systems that have been designed. A little further down on the page is this profile, which shows the proposed surface grade as compared to the center line grade, which is the light gray line there. And you can see that the proposed grade is slightly below the existing grade, and that's again so that we can get water into our drainage system and make sure that we don't have any water going off-site towards our neighbors as part of this project. So I think we've handled the water exactly as we should. We've also, in our stormwater report, reviewed the conformance of this design to the stormwater management standards, and of course we meet those standards. Let's see, we have, insofar as the stormwater standards are concerned, I'd also point out we have significantly more recharge than is required, and that's primarily because we're using recharge as the means of getting rid of most of the stormwater here. Our 2 infiltration, our infiltration bed and our infiltration dry wells significantly exceed stormwater guideline requirements. The board also asked us about soil conditions, and I think there was a letter from the town administrator regarding questioning environmental conditions at the site, perhaps in recognition of the former commercial uses of the property. Sabatini Development hired an LSP, Geological Field Services from Salem. They came out and did a Phase 1 report. We've provided that Phase 1 report to the planning board. It found, Geological Field Services found no recognized environmental conditions and they recommended no further work was necessary based on their review of the environmental conditions at the property.
May I ask a
Of
question?
course.
Did that survey include soil samples, randomized soil samples?
I don't know if they took, I don't recall if they took soil samples, but I think they did inspect all the properties. They went through the typical 21E type of research on the
I
property.
saw that, a lot of research, the places in town that had issues that might have, spilled under their location, but no one, so I remember in our last meeting, there was some concerns by the neighbors that this used to be used to store large vehicles, cranes, trucks. Did anybody think of, like, other than just looking, did they see any spots? Did anybody think of digging down a little bit in random spaces?
So Geological Field Services report does describe their observations of those buildings and the ground conditions that they saw, but they didn't see anything that deserved taking soil samples necessarily or further analysis in their opinion.
So that was just visual inspection, because like I was assuming there was going to be some ground samples taken. I am not expert in any of this, but I know in my yard I've grown grass where grass wasn't before. I had mulch where I didn't have mulch before. I mean, things move around over years too on the surface. So I'm a little concerned as a member of the planning board that wasn't an in-depth enough investigation, considering the concerns the neighbors had about prior years.
Okay. So I think it's adequately in-depth in that it meets certainly all regulatory requirements. Nonetheless, during construction, if they're digging and they come across some buried debris or buried tanks or something like this that it wasn't on the radar screen, and that would occasion Mr. Fabry from Geological Field Services coming back and doing further investigations and further sampling as deemed appropriate at that time.
Is that self-monitored, or is there somebody that you report to that inspects the holes that are being dug?
There certainly are regulations regarding sizes of spills or sizes of contamination that's discovered during construction projects, and that would be the MCP regulation. So if a Sabatini development comes across something like that during construction, then they have an obligation under those regulations to report it and to hire an LSP and address it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So let's see, so we talked about the LSP issues. Back to the waivers for a moment. We talked about the width of the shoulder. So the town requires an 8-foot gravel shoulder where no curbs are provided. We're proposing a 2-foot gravel shoulder instead. And I really think that when you think about this, what we're building for here, we're building for 2 houses. And so we have a very small amount of traffic. So I think building 22 feet of pavement plus 8 feet of gravel shoulder on each side would be excessive and probably not be beneficial to the neighborhood. So I think it's appropriate to reduce the width of the gravel shoulder in this instance. We talked about the size of the cul-de-sac, and the fourth waiver, the third one being the water main size. The fourth waiver is the absence of granite curbing. We're not proposing curbing on this, again, primarily because we want to let the water come off the pavement into the grass area next to the roadway and into the catch basins that will be placed in those 2 depressions and then carry water out to the infiltration chamber. So I think we'll have less runoff by handling water in this way. The board asked us to address the trees to be removed during construction, and we really just have one tree. It's out in the front of the property near the existing building to be removed. There's no other tree removals required to build out the project. Exterior lighting, we're not proposing any street lights or the like. There'll be certainly lights on the buildings, at your doors, for example. You would typically have an entrance light, but there's no street lights proposed as part of this project. The existing cesspool, you asked that we let you know where that is, and so that's right there, as best we can tell from the Board of Health records. And that cesspool would have to be abandoned in accordance with Title V requirements at the time of construction.
Sorry, Bob, this is Dan Pasco. I can't see where you're indicating. Is there a way to use the cursor, Margaret?
Oh, yeah.
So
Can you see that?
that little balloon area there again is the location of the existing cesspool based on available records.
Thank you.
Let's see, you asked us about soil conditions, and we've provided you with Board of Health information and our own observations of sandy, gravelly soils down to a depth of 10 feet and possibly more in some areas. With no shallow water tables. So I think that's very favorable both for construction and for the infiltration and the sewage disposal. We talked about the radius of the property line at the intersection with Cedar Street. That's a 40-foot radius, and we have about 14 feet of lawn between there and the edge of the roadway. The historic status, the existing structure is on the MACRIS database, and there's a notation on the database that the neighborhood is eligible potentially as a historic district, and it mentioned that this building would be eligible as part of such a district, but such a district has never been formed, and so this building is not a historic district eligible building. You asked us to about the preservation of character, and I just would point, character of the neighborhood. I think, setting these houses 200 feet back from Cedar Street, these houses are not going to be all that visible from the road to begin with. I think keeping this as a private roadway is helpful to preserving the neighborhood character. And but more importantly, there's a landscaping plan that's been prepared by David Jaquist. And David, I don't know if you want to get up and talk about the plan at all, or we can just quickly look at it. Okay, so if we flip down a couple of pages here, Margaret, I think we'll get to that landscaping plan. It's beautiful. Okay, there's the landscaping plan with some, let's see, it looks like some, actually I can't read it from here, Dave, you're going to have to help me.
We saved every tree that's...
Just identify yourself, please.
David Jaquist, architect, 81 Railroad Avenue, Raleigh, Mass. Originally from 28 and 29 Harbor Street, Wenham. This was on my sister's paper, not mine. So, we saved all the trees that are growing out there except the one that Bob mentioned in the middle of the road at Cedar Street. We're adding some dividing shrubs at the property line between the two houses, and we're adding some maples and other large trees. We're saving all the trees that are along the borders, and the border around any neighbors is treed if you've been out there. And there will be other landscaping and perimeters around the foundation. And some of that depends on whether the person has bought the house before moving it, before it's finished. Some of that will be determined by the owner. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I've worked with Mr. Sabatini in Raleigh. He was in the historic district up there and did a very nice house that is smaller and not as nice a site as this in Raleigh. He did a wonderful landscaping job up there too.
I do have a question about light and light pollution and the ability of the trees to kind of keep that in that property and onto the neighbors. What's your opinion about, I know there are certain laws you have to follow for down pointing lights and pointing up and out. Do you believe that those trees that are existing will help mitigate that light pollution from the new buildings?
For the most part, that's true. But in the winter time, there may be a little bit of leakage. But people are spending more time inside their house than outside their house. Compared to what was there previously on this property, I think this is a large improvement with two houses and landscaping compared to what was out there.
Not all development is good, but this one looks good, so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I think that pretty well sums up our the last thing I forgot to mention was the scenic road question. You had asked the question, given that Cedar Street is a scenic road, does this require a scenic road special permit? And the answer is no. The scenic road special permit would be occasioned by removal of a stone wall, removal of a tree within the town right away. And neither of those conditions apply here. So there is no requirement for a scenic road special permit. So I think that sort of summarizes all the things that you asked us to address. We'd be happy to address any questions at this time.
Do you have any, Dan, you have any questions before we hog it?
Bob, I don't have any questions for you. I think you mentioned Attorney Samasco is there. I'm just wondering, is she planning to present anything?
No presentation, but she's happy to address questions.
Okay, thank you.
My questions are answered.
I have a couple questions. The east side of the property has always been used for residential. According to the environmental study. The commercial garage and rear portion of the property was used as a contractor's yard for a construction company, a crane company, and a tree service company. While the southwestern portion of the property is an open field used for animal grazing. Now, I noted in the environmental report that there was odor detected in the basement of the residential property of fuel. I'm not clear why no follow-up action on that is required, but according to the report, no follow-up action was required. The two homes, single-family homes, presumably for families, are being built on top of the portions of the property that are most likely to have contaminants from former non-residential use. When I look at the photos in the environmental report, it looks like a junkyard. So my first question is how much material has been removed? Solid material has been removed from the property to this point. Is anyone in a position to discuss that?
I think David could describe what he's done, but I mean, in short story, he's removed most of the freestanding junk that's been all around that property. David, how many yards of material you've taken off? You have to.
Please.
It's David Sabatini Development. I moved approximately, let's see, 30 times 150 yards of probably trash. The guy was like a hoarder. He built a shed, he put a bunch of junk in it, and then built another shed, more junk in it. All the junk is gone. We dug probably 15 deep holes all around this property, and nobody saw anything. I've had the Board of Health out there. I've had, the 21E done. They haven't found anything.
So then why not do soil samples so that I can sleep at night?
Why do I need to do that if we've already sent somebody out there to look at this?
Well, we've dug
literally down 12 feet in probably 10 or 15 areas. All the we dug in the open field, we dug on the other side up there, and all around on both sides of the road in order to prepare for the drainage to go in. So we've witnessed all this stuff.
But you haven't tested.
We haven't tested it, but we've witnessed it. Board of Health has been out there. Greg's been out there. He's seen all of it.
But he hasn't tested.
Nobody has tested it.
And now the solid material has been removed.
No solid material has been removed offsite. Only the sheds and all those, you see all the small buildings, those have been removed. No material, no actual dirt has been disturbed or has been moved offsite.
I thought I heard you say 150 cubic yards of material trash. Right, so that trash could have told us if there was contaminants.
Newspapers, bicycles. I mean, stuff that you brought home that you never threw out, we kept.
I mean, again, from my position, I guess anybody could be sitting in this chair, but I am. Now going back to the last hearing, it was a 4-1 vote. I asked for two things, and I voted no on this project, on the preliminary plan. But I commended you as an LLC for offering one option to deal with this site. This is a 20th century problem that we are now living in the 21st century with. And I commend your LLC for proposing one option for how to deal with this site. And I encouraged the abutters and other people who came here to come up with other options. Because we got to deal with this from my perspective. I asked for two things. One, soil samples, and two, consensus. Or at least an attempt at consensus with the abutters. So soil samples weren't done, and I am gonna say it sounds like we didn't do them because we're not legally obligated to do them. And two, I would ask you, was there any attempt at consensus with the abutters?
Well, I have to answer one question. The first question is, we sent somebody out there, a company out to do 21E. They witnessed, they walked the whole property, said there's nothing else here, that needs to be done. We sent you that information saying that.
Was the public comment that was provided at the last session provided to that individual that said that it was that there may be dead animals under the ground and that there's odors that the abutters have smelled?
I mean, we didn't dig up the whole entire property. If we come across a dead animal out there, we dig a cellar hole, we're gonna remove it. I don't, this is 2.5 acres. They buried one donkey out there. I have no idea. The place has been there forever. I've been out there myself for a minimum of 4 or 5 weeks cleaning this place up. I didn't smell any dead animals. I didn't see any holes. I didn't see any, monuments out there that shows the site. If one person walked by there and smelled, a dead animal.
Well, these are people who lived as abutters for, I think someone made the comment of several 4 or 5 decades. I mean, here's the thing, and I don't mean to be sanctimonious. I want to go back to the point where I started, which is the town needs to support somebody who wants to do something with this property. But in my mind, to build two single-family homes over the two sites portions of the property that are most likely to have soil contaminants. And I'm not making this up out of thin air. There's pictures in this environmental study that makes it look like a junkyard, which is corroborated by the abutter testimony that we heard. Again, I don't want to make this personal, so I'll just keep it to myself. What if I found out that my child was living in this house? Would I be okay with that? Well, if we did soil samples and they came back negative, I'd be like, okay, the soil's okay. I don't have to worry about who signed the Mylar on this project 30 years from now when we're finding people waking up with illnesses on this property.
This whole lower part of it has never been disturbed. It's a field. There's nothing there. We've dug 15 holes there. We've dug 15 holes down 12 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet. We didn't find anything.
I understand.
I can point out where I dug all the holes. I can show you.
But they weren't tested for contaminants. And the fact of the matter is, just one more thing, which is that the photo that's given for this commercial garage. I mean, it's just a photo, so I can't tell. It looks like an oil drum broke open on the floor. I've never seen a shinier floor represented in. Is that waxed concrete? I don't understand. I mean, it looks like there's the presence of commercial waste on this property.
Go ahead. Go out there and examine it. A certified person looking through all the properties.
Sorry, Dave, could you, is it possible to put that on the screen so I can see what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I'm gonna share it. You see that?
Margaret, I can't. Can you remind me, Margaret, what date was this circulated, the report?
What date was it submitted?
You can get it off the website, Dan, if you want to get it.
I thought Margaret, I've seen it. I know Margaret circulated it. I'm just.
It was an email sent out yesterday at 3:19 p.m.
Okay,
There's a link to it.
There's a link to this. So this is the house. What photo are you turning to?
Keep going down. That would be the 122. 21 and 22.
You can just tell them.
Okay.
Can you see that, Dan?
I can, yep. So if Dave, if you were done, I had two questions.
Go ahead, Dave.
Go ahead, Dan.
My first question is for Bob Griffin. So Bob, if I understand your waivers correctly, it seems like the most substantial you're asking for is to waive the width of the diameter for the cul-de-sac. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So if you didn't have that waiver, could you still build a one lot subdivision as of right?
Well, I don't think one lot would be a subdivision, right?
Well, I'm sorry. Could you still do one lot as of right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And my next question is for Attorney Samasco, if she's there.
Yes.
So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but if you're able to speak to the 21E process and what happens if you discover something during the development?
Sure, I can give you a broad overview. First I would say that the LSP is bound by strict regulations. I happen to have worked with this LSP. I have multiple clients who have developed very significant properties using this LSP. He's highly recommended, or the company is highly recommended by most of the lenders in the area. So I think that I was very pleased when Mr. Sabatini indicated that he was using GFS and Luke Fabry because his reputation is stellar. So that's just I put that out there. And he is subject to a long list of standards that are in the Massachusetts contingency plan and that are applicable to LSPs. He's bound by a licensed site professional certification and regulations that apply specifically to his work. And so, it's not a simple, he doesn't just go out there and walk the land. He's taking a hard look to understand whether the standards that would suggest further testing are necessary are met. And obviously, he concluded in this case that it was not. As Mr. Griffin said, and honestly, he probably knows probably better than I, just from his work in overseeing actual construction. But when a project starts and you're in the field and soil conditions are encountered, depending on the gravity of that, it's either an immediate stop or work around until you can get testing in to determine and confirm that there are, not contaminants that have to be disposed of differently or warrant additional testing. So contractors are aware of that, developers are aware of that, civil engineers who have to go out in the field and monitor the work are aware of those requirements, architects are aware of those requirements. I'm not sure if that's answering your question.
No, that's helpful. I just wanted to get sort of an overview of what happens if during this process there's an environmental condition that gets discovered.
Excuse me, Dan, could I follow up with that question to our group? What are our options if that's found out to be true? Are there levels of contamination that can then have certain town responsibilities or actions?
Well, let me respond to that with another question for Attorney Samasco. I'd like to know, what is your position on whether that's within our purview or not?
Well, I think if there's actual contammation found, or asking the questions that you're asking this evening. I just want to.
Well, I think Mr. Woodland's question was what. Well, I'll let Mr. Woodland repeat it.
if there's.
My question is, if you start building and you find some contamination, what are the town's responsibilities or rights or options at that point to work with the developer to either say, okay, this can be, are there levels of seriousness when it comes to contamination, and when do we get to chime in and say, okay, that's enough, or oh, it's fine.
So
that's why I'm asking our team that question.
Oh,
So that's why, and Dan just brought it to you. So
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you could answer.
I can give you a broad overview. Bob,
I'm sorry, let me clarify. Rick, you're saying the town, and I'm focusing more on us as planning board versus town as various entities of the town. So I don't know if your question is different from that.
I'll use the exact term, planning board.
Okay.
But we are a town organization, so we are representing the town when it comes to building the building. So we are the town. Okay?
So, if a project is underway and contamination is found, there is a process that the state imposes on reporting first and foremost, right? Depending on, so if there is any type of release that is of imminent danger to public health or safety, that's an immediate reporting requirement to Mass DEP. There are levels of immediacy, but there is a reporting requirement that LSPs are bound by. As part of that process, the Board of Health would be notified, and there would have to, at that time, be what's called a response action report that the LSP would have to be in the field and propose a cleanup plan, or in some cases what they do is they segregate the soils that are problematic, hold them aside for testing. If they require, if they are contaminated, then there has to be a special disposal site, and they are disposed of differently than other soils on the premises. And there's a whole process, and I think, Bob, you can speak to how it works in the field probably better than I.
I just want, part of my reason for questioning is that I want everybody in the butter also understand what the safeguards are if we decide to move the project forward, so that everybody watching or hearing can also understand the process, because it's complex.
Right. I would just add that depending again on how imminent the threat is that's found at the site, the fire department will be notified as well as the Board of Health. At the preliminary plan stage, you asked us for an environmental review. We hired an LSP. He went out and did this investigation. And just to get to the bottom of photo 21 or 22, which do have this sort of wet look to them, these roofs leak a lot. And so what you see there is water that has landed on the ground before the picture was taken. It's not a pool of oil or anything like that. But I think we brought GFS out there. They did what we think is a very appropriate investigation. They said we don't think any more investigation is appropriate. Now, if you're an environmental professional and you have a different opinion about this, then fine. I think we can respond to that. We can ask Luke to come back out there and look at the soils more carefully, and look at the conditions of the garage more carefully, and see if on second look is there anything that he can do to do some screening level type analysis that gives you a greater level of comfort that there isn't this lingering concerns about soil conditions that are going to crop up 30 years from now. I think that's highly speculative, but we're happy to get Luke out there to do another look at the property.
In particular, I got really excited at Luke's table of contents Section 8 interviews. And I had hoped that would have included abutters, including those with historical knowledge about the use of the property. And unfortunately, it didn't include that. And so my question would be, is there any opportunity for Luke or the woman who prepared this report to either attend a planning board meeting or to otherwise speak with those who have historical knowledge about the use of the property and the conditions they've experienced, so he can decide whether or not that influences the scope of review that he needs to do? Because the best I can tell, He looked around, and I don't mean to diminish this. I understand he's a certified professional to some standards that have been taken, but having read this report, when you boil it down, he went out there, he looked around, he took a sniff, and he turned away and walked home. I mean, what else did he do? He didn't test anything. He didn't interview anybody with knowledge about the property as an abutter. He didn't talk with the former owners, one of whom is deceased. I'm not really clear what he did, particularly when we know that this was used commercially.
So I suspect there's more to his investigation than your characterization, but why don't we let Luke answer those questions himself? And as I said, we're happy to get him back out there and look at things a little bit further.
I appreciate that. I really do. And I understand that my tone can come off as hostile to this development. It could come off as strident. And I just can't not reiterate more. I support that the Sabatini's force, the LLC, is trying to do something with this site. I just again, anybody could be sitting in this chair. I just happen to be, and I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. And the thought of somebody moving into this site, a small family, perhaps on the northern parcel, builds a swimming pool in the back, and they live there for 20 years. And something happens because we were too afraid as a community to take the soil samples. I don't want my name on the Mylar with that. I don't think we want that as a community. I understand that this property was purchased out of foreclosure. I understand it's held by an LLC. I understand that environmentals cleanups are very expensive. But we can't bury our head in the sand on this one. We have to know, based on what we know about this site, and it's more than what's reflected in this report, is my feeling from the last meeting. And I encourage members of the community that have constructive ideas about how to support the Sabatinis to speak up. I think that is what we need. This is a community problem that needs to be addressed. We can't just say, no. Something has to be done on this land. But if there's no other questions, I'd like to open up to public comment. Is that possible? Go ahead.
I have a comment.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to address the board. As part of the subdivision review, we do hire a peer reviewer, and I have not had luck finding a peer reviewer until today. I finally found someone who could do the job and has given us an estimate. So I can share that estimate with the board, with the developer. Once we get a check from the developer, then we can contract with the peer reviewer who will review these plans for us. I think until that time, the board can't really make a decision. The peer reviewer will review it for adherence to the subdivision regulations as well as stormwater and the road construction, making sure it's correct. The other thing is I might suggest that the board do a site visit on this property. We can probably schedule something at some point tonight before you guys move on to the next case. So those are the only two things I have.
Thank you. Thanks, Margaret. Do you want to share that now, or do you share it later?
The
peer review.
Oh, yeah, the peer review. I did get an estimate for 4,400.
So Margaret, can I ask, do we obviously haven't had the peer review done yet. I'm assuming we need a continuance of the public hearing?
Yes. You'll have to continue tonight.
What is the time frame, and is there any objection from the applicant?
Do you have any objection to continuing to the next hearing?
No objection.
No, we should be fine with the time frame.
Okay, so I can't tell how many people are there, but my thought is that the peer review is going to be pretty informative on a lot of these issues.
Yeah, I expect it to be Dan. Once I get a check, then I'll contract with the peer reviewer.
We're making a motion to extend? Well, so we won't do public comment tonight.
You can if you
And
want.
there's a lot of people here. I think it would be helpful to do public comment, since folks are here. And I expect there will be an opportunity for public comment again after the peer review at the next continuation of this hearing. So you do not have to speak tonight, but I think, again, in the spirit of this being a community consideration, the more input we can get, the better. So you will have another chance. You can also provide written comment. You do not have to speak tonight if you prefer to provide written comment. But why don't we have a bit of public comment if anyone would like to speak.
Dave, before we do that, can I just offer logistically, if we're going to do that, can we set some kind of a limit? Because I'm concerned about my internet access, frankly, and how long I'm going to be on this meeting. So I don't know if you can set like I don't know how many people, I can't see how many people are in the room. I don't know if you can set
There's about 8.
Two or three
8
minutes
on this. It's about 8 people, I'd say. And there's a lot of people on Zoom. I don't know who on Zoom is here, but all right, if everyone could try to stick to 2 minutes. And more is not always, less is sometimes more. So it's okay to be brief. You will have another chance. Would anyone like to speak? And please feel free to forward any comments to Margaret. To anything written to Margaret Hoffman, get her email address off the website. I'll pay the time of that.
And if anyone does want to speak, they would need to come to the podium.
Please come to the podium and identify yourself.
What about if you're on Zoom?
Yep.
If you're on Zoom, we're here to listen to you. Why don't you go ahead? Is it Mary?
I would say use the raise your hand function.
If you use the raise your hand.
All
right, Mary, will you identify yourself and your address, if you will?
Yes, it's Mary Roykel and Martha Carter. We live at 21 Cedar. And apologies, we joined the meeting late, so we missed the first part of the discussion, but we did hear your comments about wanting, or at least believing it would be reasonable to do soil sampling, and given the nature of the site, it seems extremely reasonable and important to us that that would be done. So it wasn't clear, and again, I apologize, we missed the beginning of the conversation, why that couldn't be done before any work is actually started on the site. So thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Anybody else? Please.
So I know that the...
Hold on. If you could identify yourself.
Carolyn Bryce Morris, 18 Cedar.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment about the Historic Commission's recommendation. So just to the board, I would say just because it wasn't, I can't remember the language that was used, that it wasn't formally registered, not formally registered as a historic district. I know Main Street is really our only regulated historic district in Wenham. That doesn't mean we turn a blind eye to the historical nature of Wenham, and I think it is our job, as community residents, to make sure that we do keep an eye out to maintain our historic nature.
What characteristics of the property do you think are historic?
The Cedar Cherry Street, the fact that it's 2 centuries, the buildings are 2 centuries years old. I mean, our house is 1790, and we're in a butter right behind it. I don't know, the other ages of the houses, but I just think it's an important consideration that we're not changing the nature of Wenham in a district like this. So that's it.
Thank you so much.
I did see
a comment from Zoom.
Yes,
please. Could you identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Robert D'Andrio. I live at 7 Cedar Street, directly across the street from number 8. And I'm going to withhold from commenting on the environmental concerns. I think that's left to bigger and more qualified people than I am. But on the whole, I want to say that I support this project, I think that the relief they're requesting is justified. The private right-of-way will essentially be a driveway to access two homes. Traffic will be limited to just those two homes. I think that the soil conditions clearly support the drainage they have proposed. The water service, 8-inch main for that property is way oversized. I think they're okay there. And based on what he's done so far on that site, I think that the property's in good hands. It's been done professionally, respectfully to me anyway. So I support the project.
That's great.
That's great, thank you. And
I'm sorry,
how long have you been at your property?
8 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak up right now?
Hi, my name is Cindy Paret. I live in 1 Ramona Way on the west side of the property. I'm completely not against like whatever Mr. Sabatini wants to do. It's just that I think the safety of the neighbors and whatever can be found in those soils like are important. Yeah, I do think it's important. It's not like we have been living here for 2 years, so we were not there prior. But when we bought the house, we saw all the trucks that has been there for decades. Even the
Sorry, there for what? Digging, yeah, digging.
Even the realtor who sold us the house told us that it has been here for like a long time, that it was going to be foreclosed at some point, and probably actually also kept for the house, because he told us that they wanted to put it on like to seek the historical maintenance of the house. But yeah, after that, I don't know more, but it's just this, yeah, I'm concerned about the safety of like everybody around that land, as well as for the future people who's going to live there.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice?
All right.
So we will with the applicant's ascension to the continuance, we will all move to keep open and continue this hearing to a date certain.
September 14th is our next.
Which will be September 14th at 7 p.m. at Town Hall. If we do have agreement to do a site visit, does that interfere with that continuance?
Does it interfere with it? No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Do you want to do a site visit all together? And the other two members of the board will be able to join in this hearing just by as long as they watch this video. I think they can do, and then they'll sign the affidavit under Mullen rules. So do you want to plan a site visit for all of you, or do you want to go at different times? I mean, is someone there usually at this point, or no? Okay. So we have to schedule it. Okay.
We obviously have to be there. We all see the same, but we'll be as flexible as possible.
If we don't break any open meeting laws, it would probably be appropriate that we're there as a team, just do it once.
Yeah.
Where everybody else is safe.
Yep. So we could post that as a meeting.
Great.
Yeah, just know not to do what we're required to do.
All right.
Can I get a second? Second. Take a roll call. Dan on Zoom.
Aye.
Rick
Woodland. Yes.
Dave Anderson, aye.
So do you want to schedule a time now, or do you want to, next week I can email you to some other times?
Maybe you can start with the visitors and then find us and wrangle us down. Their schedules are probably tighter than,
Say that again?
I would be concerned about our guests being spoken to first about a time, and then we can kind of fill it.
Our guests?
The engineer, developer, attorney.
So I would suggest, we could give some consideration to doing it at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Great.
Plenty of daylight. If, early in the morning works better for you, we can do that also. So you let us know when you guys can get together, we can do our best to be there.
Okay.
I'm out of town next week, but the whole week. Well, Monday through Friday.
You still have time, the week after.
Yeah.
It's only the 10th, so possibly the week of the 21st of August.
Great. Just let us know.
All right, I'll do that, I'll send an email. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you
very much.
Till next time. All right. Dan, how you doing? You still got internet? Take that as a maybe.
I'm still here.
Thanks, Dan. Up next, Bob, you got a long night, don't you?
This hopefully won't take too long.
Actually, the next item on the agenda is 158.
I know. He's on 47. Is he not on for 158?
No, he's not. You're not on the
No, I'm here for 158. Is the A&R not down?
No, the A&R is not done. 158 Budsville is the scenic road scenario.
Okay. So we'll open the hearing on public hearing on 158 Large Row on the petition of Ford Properties Inc. on behalf of Joyce and Jason Oifer for proposed removal of trees in the section of stone wall located at 158 Large Row, Assessor's Map 20 Lot 12B as scenic road designated under MGL Chapter 40, Section 15C to allow for that construction of a driveway to access a single-family home. Do you want me to read the notice, or do you want to do it?
Yeah, if you want to read it, that's fine. And you've actually read most of it already. I think you can go ahead and just say that it was published in the Salem.
It was published in the Salem News July 27th, 2023, and August 3rd, 2023. This is a hybrid hearing, public and by Zoom.
Do you want me to bring it?
Oh, can you?
Oh yeah, they're gonna bring it up.
See how this looks here. You know what? This did not come through very well. I don't know what all those yellow marks are on this.
Maybe we zoom in.
Let's see if I zoom in.
That's not it.
Yeah. I don't know where this all came from. Dan, can you see this on your screen?
I can, I'm not sure what it is, but.
I know. A lot of yellow dots. I don't know.
You can remove those, I think, if you go to Tools.
Yep.
And then comment, the down arrow. You might.
Do you think those are comments?
That's what they look like. Note.
I think it's red. I think with that remove shortcut.
Well, that made.
Okay.
They're AutoCAD
I don't know
things.
what those are. It's an AutoCAD document that you sent, so.
Yeah, it's probably one layer that's turned on, but.
It's not this piece?
That's 77 Maple.
That's it.
Yes.
No, that's the A&R.
This is 156 Large Row.
Different.
Same lot.
Same area. It's a different case.
Isn't this the request for the removal of a couple of trees and a section of stone wall so they can put in a driveway?
Yes.
I can figure it out from this diagram. Right.
Yes,
Yes, that.
All right. Please.
I'm Tim Ford from Ford Properties. As Margaret said, we're the local builder. We're designing and getting ready to build a new house for Jason and Joyce at 158. This is an A&R plan you've seen, I think, back in March. The Bob actually submitted. Since then, the Boyfords have bought the lot, and as I said, we're starting to do some specific planning for the lot and a specific house for it. The reason why we're here tonight is we have 3 trees that are actually, I think the application says 4, but there were actually 3 in the public way, so between the wall and the edge of the pavement on Lodge Row, that need to come down to accommodate the driveway. 2 of them are actually in the layout of the driveway, and one of them, the one off to the left, is in the side sloping. Right there, as you drive down Lodge Row on the right-hand side, there's a fair amount of grading going on right there. And the 22-inch maple is actually in the side sloping to the driveway, and it's also a bit of an issue for site visibility. So that would be the one way over on the right-hand side of the screen as you're looking at the screen. The other 2 are actually in the layout of the driveway. The 2 orange stakes represent the edge of the 2 orange stakes actually represent the stone wall. The driveway at that point, as it comes through the stone wall, will be about 15 feet wide. Intersects Latch Road, it'll be about 23 feet wide as it flares out to allow access in both directions. Again, the site visibility is an issue. That's why the driveway is in this location. It clearly is. It clearly grants the lot the best site visibility, looking both left and right. And there is some side sloping you can see where the mailbox is. There'll be some side sloping on the right-hand side specifically to accommodate the driveway. There are other trees that come down beyond the stone wall as you head up the lot, up the hill, if you will. But again, they're not sort of part of this permit, if you will. I've staked it, it's been flagged for a while, so you've probably driven by and seen it. If you've driven up and down Lodge Row, you've seen it.
What are the numbers on that mailbox? 166?
Yeah, that would be the butter. To the left.
To the left.
To the left.
The numbers get higher to the left.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
Yeah.
Maybe one of the abutters here? I think that the numbers got higher too.
They do.
But that's because the driveway right there goes to 166, right?
That driveway, wouldn't that be 170?
It's even numbers.
We're 158. Oh, we're 158. Yeah. Okay, I think it was. Yeah. Okay, so that would be 166. So obviously that mailbox will
get moved over there. You can see that the driveway
166 is fairly close to the driveway opening to this one as well. And probably for the same reason. That's the maximum site distance. They'd go up and down Lodge Road right there.
So could you go back to the last photo, Margaret? Yeah, I just want to see. Okay.
Dan, can you see the photo of the trees?
I can.
Okay. I'm just gonna make it a little bigger.
So,
That one,
are we done with the presentation, or are we at questions now? What are we doing?
Word questions.
Okay. So is it Tim?
Yes.
Tim, is there any objection to preserving the field stones on the property and using them, if necessary, for other areas of the wall?
No, we intend to do that, actually. I don't know if I included that in the application, but we intend to do that. We're going to try to make the minimum impact on Lodge Road. We're not trying to, build some columns and piers and lighting and stuff like that. We're trying to make it look like a natural drive. So if we're doing any wall work in the front of the lot, it would be with those stones and sort of in a natural setting.
So when the rocks and the trees between the stakes are removed, there will be a driveway there.
Right.
And that's. But I realize this isn't the point in front of us, but isn't that like 10 feet away from another driveway?
It is.
It is.
It is.
166 is probably 10 feet to the left.
So if you're looking at the photo, on the left-hand corner is the lot line, and then the driveway is 166 right there on the lot. So probably 10 feet from the orange stake, you're right.
Isn't there a minimum distance between driveways?
I think in a subdivision, we would regulate that.
But not for
I
single-family.
don't know if there's anything that dictates that.
Could be in the zoning bylaw.
We can look that up real quick.
We're gonna keep thinking about that. So the 7 feet of wall to the left there, what happens with that?
Well, the distance
The two stakes represent the removal of the wall, so that small piece of wall will remain.
My thought
is, we're gonna be grading out where the mailbox is, if you will, between the two stakes,
and at
about 6% grade on average. So we'll be pushing some of the dirt down on the hill behind the wall in this direction. So stones that we hit, that's section, 35 feet section of stone wall, we're gonna reutilize those right there. So again, we're not trying to, we're trying to make this subtle. So we're not trying to do like a formal landscape right there on Lodge Road, if you will. Trying to make it look like, it's just a drive, creeping up into the woods somewhere. So the idea is not to have, pictures are very formal, basically a landscape there.
If you look
at the site, the site continues to rise as you look down the photo, like towards the sale sign. So it's very clear when you walk the site that that's the spot for the driveway. Push anywhere else, although there's probably 108 feet of frontage there, push it anywhere else, which is a really steep cut. And so as you approach Lodge Road, you'll be in a really steep cut, trying to look left and right. So it's very clear as you walk, if you were to walk down the sidewalk, you would say, so obviously where the driveway should be.
We don't have anything specifically that says driveways can't be next to each other.
I mean, this wouldn't be before the planning board, but for the scenic roads aspect.
Right. Yeah.
Well, this lot has been in front of the planning board, a few months ago.
I just mean for this driveway. So the A&R, the driveway was proposed somewhere else, or was proposed here?
No, it's proposed in this location.
In this location. Dan, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't know.
Is anybody
To speak?
okay? Anybody here want to speak on this one?
I just wanted to let you know, and I think, we have comments from the tree board.
Okay, please.
So, yep. Let me pull those up. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Dan, can you see the tree warden's comments?
Yep, I've seen them.
So
I can see them.
Yeah. So in an email from Winslow Mulry,
Margaret
Hoffman on Tuesday, July 25th, 2023.
Good morning.
I reviewed the plans for Lodge Road and the removal of the two town trees. I'm in agreement with the plans for the removal.
My only request is that two trees are purchased and planted by the developer. Type and location to be determined by tree warden after driveway base has been installed and at an appropriate planting season. Please feel free to contact me with any additional questions. From Wenham.
You guys dealt with wind before?
Excuse me?
Have you met Win?
No, we haven't.
You're gonna love working with him.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, ultimate tree guy.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I just want to say one thing. I moved here from California. We don't have roads like Larch Row in California. Every time I have family come visit from California, I take them down Larch Road to explain the charm of this place that I have moved with my family. Working on Larch Road, I know this has come off a little sanctimonious, but again, I'm in this chair tonight. Next meeting, they might not give me the mic again. You work on Larch Road, you have an opportunity and a responsibility because you're working in history. So please do right by Larch Road. And I know you'd like forget that guy, but please, I'm begging you. I'll spread your name all around town if you do this and it's aesthetically pleasing.
But yeah, no, we agree. That's my comment with regards to a natural landscape. That's you see some these big homes have these big square bollards on them. That's not what we're here. We're going to try to minimize the impact of the up the hill. Will you see it? You will. But honestly, the great height a lot of it, and we're going to keep the tree buffer. The dock line is the 100-foot buffer from the Conservation Commission. So we're doing very minimal tree removal, and I think three more trees to come down. And then we get up on the hill, with the houses, we'll actually take down some trees. But I think from the street, as you drive up and down Line Road, we'll have a sign.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that, Mr. Ford. I'll take I'll move to, no public comments. I'll move to approve, the application as to 158 Larch Row. Subject to the conditions of the tree warden. Can we do that? So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, and you did want them to make sure that they keep the stones that they remove and use them in other areas on the wall.
Yes, the stones, I think as the developer described, the stones were going to be reused somewhere on the property.
We're going to keep
on the wall up front. Okay. So, the motion to approve the plan, subject to the conditions of the tree warden and to preserve any rocks removed to be used on the tree on the street wall, rock wall that will remain.
Second.
Mr. Pasquarello?
Yeah, I seconded.
I know. And your vote?
Okay. Oh, yes. Aye.
Mr. Wood? Yes. Anderson says aye. Thanks so much.
Thanks for your time.
And I'll move to close the hearing on 158 Larch Row.
Second, and I vote in favor.
In favor, yes.
Aye, Anderson. 47 Maple. We've been going for about 2 hours, hour and a half. I'd like to keep going, but if anybody needs to stop for 3 minutes to use the bathroom or water, we can. Everyone okay? All right, let's keep going.
So far, so good.
All right. You're still getting the internets, huh?
Yes, so far.
All right. Is there a public notice on this?
This is not a public hearing. Preliminary subdivision. They did, however, send notices out to butters just as a courtesy.
47 Maple Street preliminary subdivision, discuss petition of Griffin Engineering on behalf of North Shore Property Group for approval of a preliminary subdivision plan for land located at 47 Maple Street, map 24, lot 007. Please.
I think at this point, we're just hoping that you're going to set a public meeting for this. So I wasn't really prepared to present tonight. Was I supposed to be? I was?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we had been moved off to the next meeting.
No?
I have no objection.
I would take that as a request for a continuance from Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about the miscommunication, but, so I thought there was a deadline to make, this particular meeting, and we missed it by a couple of days, and so I thought we were automatically getting kicked over to the next meeting. So that was my misunderstanding. I apologize for the confusion. So to the extent that there's somebody here that wants to talk about 47 Maple, I guess I'd be happy to do that outside of the meeting room afterwards. I didn't bring the plan with me, so I don't have it to show the neighbors, but,
Do you want me to bring it up? Or are you, this is not a public hearing.
right.
Yeah, it's just a meeting.
All
It's up to you.
right.
Is there anybody there to make public commentary on this?
Yes.
All right, well, let's take a crack at it. I'll be happy to describe the project generally, and if necessary, we can continue this to the next meeting.
Let's see. And Bob, this is,
Well, Margaret, can I just clarify if this is not a public hearing?
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not a public hearing, Dan. There's no requirement for a public hearing for a preliminary subdivision.
So it's
an administrative,
task.
Okay.
administrative item.
I don't want to force the applicant into a presentation if they don't want to make one.
I think what I'd like to do, Mr. Pasquarella, is just briefly describe the project and give the neighbors that are here the opportunity to comment on the plan. I think it is appropriate that I give a more detailed presentation at the next meeting, but I would hate to have these people go home and not have had the opportunity to let me know or let you know what their potential concerns are. So I might not be able to address the questions satisfactorily tonight, but I'll do my best, and we'll see how it goes. So in 47 Maple Street, I would remind you, has been in front of this planning board before. There was previous filings regarding a 3-lot subdivision of this property. You can see the Mr. Typert's property here at Maple Street, and the dots in the field are where some soil tests were done, I think in 2016, for the purpose of appraising the land for septic systems. And all of those tests, my recollection is that they all are reasonably favorable for septic systems, so we don't really have any soil conditions on the property that are likely to constrain layout of houses or layout of septic systems or things like that.
Excuse me for 1 second. All I can see on the screen is a list of files.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Let me,
let's
see. I think it's, no,
that's not right.
Right.
Try that,
Dan.
Dan.
Can you see that? What
I
you
can,
see?
okay, now I see a plan. Thank you.
Okay.
So this is our existing conditions plan. It shows this rise of topography up from the street, and then the land is generally flat through the agricultural land at the back of the parcel. You can see there's, I think, a greenhouse next to Mr. Typert's residence, and there's some circles behind his house, which are the locations of his existing leaching field, and there's a couple of trees indicated in that area as well. There's a curly line towards the top of the page, which is the tree line, which looks like it's 20 or 30 feet from his property line on that side. Let's go to the next one, please. So the proposal, in some ways, is somewhat similar to the subdivision plan you saw earlier tonight. It shows a 50-foot wide right-of-way with 22 feet of pavement. I think in this case we have a slightly wider shoulder than we had in the last one. I think last one we had a 2-foot shoulder. This might be a 4-foot gravel shoulder along the edges of the pavement. We have the same sort of conforming layout to the intersection at Maple Avenue. We've got a 40-foot radius at the property line. And then we come in with a parallel lawn line, so it looks like if it's 2 2 feet less, so it'll be about 12, well, it'll still be about 14 feet from the property line to the edge of the roadway. You can see that this has a larger cul-de-sac diameter at the back. This, I recall, is a conforming size cul-de-sac, so it's 140 feet right away, and the 110 feet for the outside diameter of the asphalt. And we're showing in the middle of the cul-de-sac an island which would be planted with landscaping as a means of reducing the amount of pavement on the project and reducing the amount of stormwater runoff. The house locations that are shown here are conceptual. These are just, footprints that we've grabbed from other projects. But sort of, you can see the footprint of the house is similar in size to the existing residence. So they're sort of comparable sized buildings, normal sort of single-family house projects. The dotted lines that are inside, the heavy black lines, are the zoning setbacks. So the residential structures have to be located within those dotted areas, and they all are. All of these lots conform to the zoning requirements. And as I mentioned earlier this evening, there's one lot where we have a little area that can't be counted towards zoning. That's this little triangle here because of that zoning provision that I referred to earlier. Oh, there's another area right there. So in the middle of the, I think that's lot 2, Mr. Pasco, you can see the little triangular areas. Those were not counted towards lot area when determining conformance with zoning. We're required to have 40,000 square feet of lot area, 170 feet of frontage on each of these lots. These lots all meet that particular requirement. So we have adequate frontage both along the lot line and along the edge of the roadway, which is how Wenham measures frontage. So we're conforming from that point of view as well. Let's go to the next drawing, please. This simply is same layout, but this gives a little bit more details on utilities. And again, as a preliminary plan, we haven't done the detailed stormwater analysis that we did with the definitive plan that was presented earlier this evening, but we've done enough calculations to know that we have adequate room on site to make this system work. So here again, we have a catch basin in a swale that is located off the edge of the road. We have another catch basin here, both discharging into some type of water quality treatment device, and then discharging it into an infiltration field where water will go down into the ground and thereby not run out to the street. The grades are a little bit higher in the middle of the cul-de-sac than they are at the street, so the topography raises. If I remember correctly, it slopes towards Maple Street generally. So we're going to probably, it looks like we've got a little bit of a high point here, so we're going to change the terrain to allow the swale to drain down here into this catch basin, and then the cul-de-sac is also going to drain towards Maple Street into that catch basin as well. Same thing on the opposite side of the street. We've got a swale that will carry water to the catch basin. This swale here will carry water to that catch basin. This portion of the road down by Maple Street will be allowed to continue onto Maple Street from the drainage point of view. It's just simply it's down too low, and we don't really have a stream or something like that we can discharge into. But by putting this high point off of the edge of Maple Street and pushing the water back this way, we'll have less water going towards Maple Street than currently exists. We also don't have water going off into neighboring properties, so again, by infiltrating the water on site, we manage our stormwater. You can also see we've identified some conceptual locations for septic fields. These have not been confirmed with Board of Health testing yet, but as the project goes forward, that would become necessary. Each one of the houses will be connected to the water system, and I think we're showing a hydrant at the back of the cul-de-sac as well. So we'll have an 8-inch main and water lines going to each house. Underground, electric, telephone, cable TV. So I think that sort of summarizes the layout. I think our last sheet might be some details. Be happy to address detailed questions, but they're kind of boring and not what people usually want to talk about, so we'll skip over that for now. And I think that sort of summarizes it. I'd be happy to address any questions.
This might be a question for Margaret. Is the current land that's there in a chapter situation, agricultural restriction? No, so that's fully taxed, there's no town.
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. So what's the radius, what's the radius or the diameter of the bulb?
So the outside diameter of the cul-de-sac, I believe, is 140. The pavement is 110. And this inside area, I don't know if I just can't read it from here, but it's probably 40 or 50 foot diameter.
So there's no waiver on that request.
I don't know that the island is necessarily included in the subdivision regulations, but certainly the outside diameter, both of the cul-de-sac and the pavement itself, I think are conforming.
I want to acknowledge Frank Streeter is up there with his hand up. If he would, unless there's any questions, I'd like to get to public comment if there's any, since that's kind of the spirit in which Bob presented.
Yep.
Mr. Streeter, would you like to say anything?
Yes, please. So Frank Streeter, associated with specifically the 18-acre lot directly west, that being the top of the page, to this Mr. Typert's lot. Shows best in the first plan, right there. So that's a 60-foot wide access to an 18-acre back lot. My concern about this development is very specific. It's the location of the curb cut, because if a street is put in there, it would preclude us from doing anything similar. I'm strongly advocating that the curb cut be moved to the other side of the property. So that curb cut there would preclude us from putting a similar road in, where if the curb cut were to the east, that being towards the bottom of the page, it would not. And we would strongly support making that change. Otherwise, we have no issues.
Maybe the engineer could understand. I live down the street from there, and I thought years ago, Mr. Typert tried to get a subdivision approved, putting the driveway on the east side of his property, and for some reason that was a concern. Is that anybody else's memory?
Your recollection is correct. I prepared a plan several years ago for Mr. Typert, Leckley Road on the side of the property. But for a variety of reasons, that plan didn't go forward. We now have a developer who has an agreement with Mr. Typert, and the condition is that we present a plan that looks like this. So I don't necessarily know that I can easily accommodate Mr. Streeter's suggestion. At the same time, I'm happy to discuss, developing the land in a way that ensures Mr. Streeter has access to his rear property. So I guess I can't do that this evening, but I would encourage Mr. Streeter to give me a call tomorrow. I'm sure my number's on the plans there, and we can perhaps try to address his question in some satisfactory manner.
And I think maybe our team can do a little homework to find out. I know there was a public hearing on this, and there was some back and forth. And maybe we could also resurrect why that wasn't able to be done from our background.
And I will certainly give you a call in the morning to discuss the issue further.
Okay.
Do it in me out.
Is that Jason, would you like to identify yourself and speak? You're welcome to. We can hear you.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to speak about this tonight?
So
since it's a preliminary subdivision or plan presentation, and given Mr. Streeter's comment and the fact that we're missing two members of the board, and it's a non-binding vote in any case, is
there an interest in, can we keep this open until the next meeting? Would that be helpful? I mean, this is supposed to be, it's an informative process, and so we want to give the maximum amount of information for where this ultimately going to go. So if that's okay, I'll make a motion to continue. Well, it's not really a hearing,
Yeah,
so.
I'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
We'll add it to the next agenda.
Well, that's fine. I'm just thinking, if there's anybody else that has comments here, I'd love to hear them. No? Okay.
So it'll be on the agenda.
Margaret, does the continuance keep us within the 45 days?
Yeah, we probably need to get something.
I'd be happy to grant an extension.
Okay.
That's not a problem. Thank you.
Okay, I'll get that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. A&R.
Yep.
154, 156, Larch Row. Dan, you're hanging in there. Bob, once again, the mic is yours.
I know you're tired of seeing.
No, you're not.
I'll be pretty brief. This is the adjacent property.
The one we were discussing road this evening. Mr. Jones, my client, and some family members own the two parcels that are next to that one. So this was known as Lot 2 and Lot 3 when the A&R was filed a couple of years ago to divide this parcel up. Now he would like to record a plan at the registry that shows that two lots combined in one, and that's really the purpose of this plan. I believe it's entitled to a document that shows adequate frontage.
Bob, sorry to interrupt. Again, I don't mean to make it a pattern, but I'm looking at a desktop and not a plan.
You can't see it? Okay, no, that's my fault, Dan. Give me 1 second.
Sorry about that. And I stepped away from the microphone, Dan. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I can hear you. Okay, you're good.
So, again, Mr. Jones.
I'm 1,000 miles away and I can hear you.
Okay. So Mr. Jones and his family members would simply like to remove the intermediate lot line between what are referred to here as lots 2 and lot 3. Those lot numbers come from the A&R plan that was filed a couple of years ago. I believe the plan's entitled to A&R endorsement because it shows frontage on a public way, it shows adequate lot area and adequate frontage with adequate access to his property. And I'd be happy to address any questions.
Dan, can you see it okay?
I can.
So he's combining the two lots.
That's correct.
And on lot 3, there's the only improvements are the pool.
That's correct.
That was there originally, and when you split these, you had a condition on that the pool had to be removed before any building could be done on that lot. That was the original A&R that divided this. Now he wants to combine them back.
So let's not hide the ball. Why does he want to combine these lots?
I think it has some economic advantage to it.
Which is what specific?
I'm not sure.
So any zoning it? I don't see any zoning issues, right, Margaret?
Right.
No, there's no zoning issues here.
Okay.
Tom Jones, 156 Larch Row, and I guess 154. So when we originally purchased the property, it was assessed as one unit. We got taxed on that one unit. We knew it was two. On the original plan, it said that it is lot 3 was not a buildable lot as long as the pool was there. So surprise, a year later, we got taxed on it being a buildable lot. We don't intend to build on it, and I don't intend to pay the tax on something that I don't need to. And it's a significant financial burden when we're not going to be doing it.
I think I've been in your house. It's a beautiful home. And it is, the land is one unit. I mean, there's no real dividing line in this backyard. Correct. Right. I guess my question then would be,
if this lot is combined 5 years from now, if somebody seeks to subdivide it into 3 lots, I don't know if there's enough frontage.
There is not. It's only enough frontage for 2. And if we wanted to split it back into 2, we would have to come, obviously, to a hearing and, you know, the rules could change, whatever, but that's the risk, I guess, we're taking. But, like I said, as one unit, it's significant tax savings for us. And we don't intend to go anywhere.
I mean, it strikes me as patently unfair that you're paying a tax for a lot that is unbuildable.
I agree.
Yeah. So, Dan, you have any comments?
No, I don't even think we need to vote to approve this, do we?
Correct.
You do need to vote to endorse it, Dan.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion?
Go for it, Dan.
All right, I move that we endorse.
Second.
I'm in favor.
Yes.
Rick, yes. Woodland, yes. Anderson, aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
I can get 2 members to sign it tonight, but Dan, you'll have to come by and sign the Mylar. Maybe Monday if you're available. Town hall's closed tomorrow, so.
Do you want me to sign it right now?
Please.
We have a beautiful house. Help you keep it up.
I will, I'll sign it eventually, Margaret.
I heard it's
when I can.
Move it.
Yeah, as soon as you can.
Someday I have a friend who would like to come in and see if there were slave quarters or enslaved people quarters. Right in the front doorway, right?
So
my name is Rick Woodland. I'll reach out. Yeah.
All right. Dan, how you doing?
I'm waning.
MBTA community discussion. Margaret.
Yeah, so I just want to let you know that,
wait, Rick has requested a 2-minute break.
Oh, sure.
2 minutes. 2 minutes, Dan. Sit tight.
Hey.
Have a chance.
See Dan? Maybe give him a minute, so.
Yeah. Through a lot tonight. That's good.
You're ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly by the efficiency of the chair.
Back.
The acting chair.
You guys are muted.
No, we're not. Can you hear us?
Obviously not.
HW Cam is muted.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be.
Does HW Cam need to be unmuted? No.
They've been muted the whole time.
Can you hear us, Dan? You can't hear us.
I can't hear you. My screen is showing HW cam is muted and everybody else's mic is on.
Do you want to turn your? Do you want mine's on? All right. You want me to turn mine off and you turn yours on? Maybe. Try that.
He won't be able to hear. Hit that. Mute. Let's see what happens. Dan, you sure it's not your headphones?
How's that? Can you hear us now?
Now?
Okay, now I got you. Good call, Dave.
Now. You hear now.
Oh my God, I told you it's been a long night.
All right.
That was great. Okay.
All right, let's.
HW cam, sorry.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, good, we're good.
They're muted, so this is fine.
Okay.
Too many variables.
Okay. A quick update on the MBTA communities piece. As you know, we finished up with the technical assistance from J.M. Bolton, and they gave us the memo. And I'm working with the, actually, I've been doing some training on the modeling spreadsheet, which has been good. I got a call from Katie Lacey at Mass Housing Partnership. Mass Housing Partnership has decided to offer another round of technical assistance to communities who've already had technical assistance. Because what they're finding is similar to the experience we had, Dan. The information that we got from the consultant really wasn't enough, and that we could use a little more help with possibly public outreach, more information to share with the board. So they asked if I wanted, they said I can now apply for another TA grant. I just wanted to ask the board if you're okay with us doing that.
I'd say no.
No?
No, I
It
found
won't be
the.
J.M. Goldson.
Oh, it would be, well,
Yeah, we can pick another firm.
but the other firm is still going to be working with the same sponsor, right?
Well, they do, yeah. But I think what we could,
I feel like we learned a lot from the process, and we know where they were coming from, and we know what we need to do, and we know what the parcels are in town. I don't think it's worthwhile to restart the whole process.
I don't know that we have to restart the whole process, but Margaret said something good about public outreach and getting more input, and that's something we've not done yet, really.
But that has nothing to do with the consultant. They didn't do anything with public outreach.
The new consultant will be able to help with that. Mass Housing Partnership has found that communities like ours have asked for that kind of help with the TA grants, because the first round of grants, it was just to give you the basic, the numbers, get your zoning straight.
Right, but let's talk about public outreach. I mean, why do we need a consultant to help us with public outreach at this point?
Well, I feel like I'm not sure who has enough knowledge of all of the nuances of this to present it to the public, to the select board, and to all boards and committees.
Right. So here's
give us the talking points and
so given the history that we just went through with the consultant, right? And the sort of agenda that was motivating them in this process, why do we want to turn over the public participation component to a consultant who may have that agenda when we already know what we need to know at this point? I thought the next step in this process was we're going to have a joint meeting with the select board, and during that meeting we're going to talk about public participation and public outreach. So if we throw, let's go back to stage one with a new consultant, and if it's not J.M. Goldson, then they're going to have to get up to speed on Wenham, and it's just, I think it unnecessarily slows this whole process down, and I don't think the upside is great. I'm not a huge fan of what the consultants have done.
Let me ask Margaret this question. Oh, sorry. Would you benefit from the extra labor? Because I know right now, there are a lot of projects going on in your world, and if you can then manage the consultant to do some of the work you need to get done in that area, and take that burden off of you, would that help?
Honestly, it would help me to have someone creating the talking points, a presentation. We could probably get it done, but if the board, Dan, if you prefer to help do that, that piece of it, I am a little bit overburdened at the moment with the board committees that I'm trying to manage. But it's up to you. If you're not comfortable going down that road again.
Well, I hear you, Margaret, and I understand you've got a ton on your plate. It's just, having sat through 4 or 5 MBTA compliance meetings with a consultant, and, not getting, I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus here, as far as who the consultant was, but it was a frustrating process because, I think Peter can speak to this as well, it took a long time to get direct questions answered. And then the end product we got weren't the numbers that matched what we needed, and we suspect why that happened, which is, so if we're talking about
Which is what, Dan?
Well, we got scenarios that nothing met what our minimum requirements were. They were all pushing higher numbers because this is coming from, what's the Mass Housing? What is it, Margaret?
Mass Housing Partnership.
Right. So Mass Housing Partnership, I think, has an age. I'm not saying this is good or bad one way or the other. I'm just saying I think they have an interest in maximizing more housing under this particular framework. And this is something that this is compliance. We have to comply with this. And we haven't gotten to the point of the debate as to, do we want to do more than comply? How much more than compliance do we want to do? And I feel like we were getting pushed in a particular direction. And I feel like that's not going to change if we have a new consultant with the same sponsor. So my question is, what is it, at this point, if it's public participation, right, in outreach, I thought that was something that the joint boards were going to do together once we had the initial conversation. We were going to set up these meetings to invite public participation and have the discussions. And from a technical standpoint, I don't think there's more for us to learn from a consultant, because I think we know what we need to do.
I want to get back to the labor part. So to put on a presentation in a joint board, to get it right, to get it stick, takes hours and hours and hours of presentation preparation. And if we can manage the consultant's hours carefully, because our message is going to change. We got our message. We know how much we need. We know where it's going to go. Got all that done. But we need now the rollout help, the labor to actually make these things sharp and crisp and on point to us. And that would be the responsibility, whoever the contact is for the consultant, to make sure that our message is getting through on their work. So that's all I'm saying.
That's not what's going to happen here. And I don't see that as that's not what the next step in this process is. The next step in this process is we have a meeting with the select board and we have a discussion about MBTA compliance. And we've already got the work product from the consultant. We know what the good and bad of it is. And then we, as a town, have to start taking steps as to what are we going to do moving forward. And I don't really see it. If we bring in a new consultant now, Rick, we're pushing this process 3 to 4 months down the road.
I don't necessarily agree, because all our data is done.
I wonder if I talk to them and see if there's a potential that I could just work with them to get the materials that we need to bring to the boards, so that we have all of the talking points that we need. When we go to the select board and we bring it to the community. But if I imagine they're pretty quick in getting, once you apply, they're pretty quick in getting you a consultant, hooking you up with somebody.
Let me see if I understand this correctly, right? Other towns had a similar experience that we did, working with these consultants, which I take it means that they got scenarios that they weren't happy with based on the numbers that they got, right? So if that's what we're talking about, in order for us to get different information, they're gonna, and if it's...
No, the data's not gonna change.
Yeah, I don't think the information's going to change, Dan, as far as, here's our district, here's the other district. But it's the presentation of it, us saying to the boards, this is how this works, and this is why these numbers are what they are. I think.
But why do we need it? So if the numbers aren't gonna change...
It's fine.
Right.
I won't do it.
No. All I'm saying is if the numbers,
I do.
yeah, if the numbers aren't going to change, we're going to get the same technical memorandum, which theoretically should have all of the talking.
It seems like there's a disconnect. If I understand correctly, the next step is public participation under any case. The opportunity is to get a technical grant. Dan's concerned that whoever the consultant with the same sponsor is, and I hope I'm not misrepresenting, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, they're gonna drive with a particular bent, which isn't particularly helpful as we are trying to approach this issue, which is to present kind of a fair and balanced presentation of the situation to the public. And the concern is that we're just gonna burn staff hours and public time in developing these materials, which are going to have a certain bend to them. Is that right?
Well, it's less about the bent than it is reinventing the wheel, and we're going backwards. Maybe I don't understand what this technical grant is.
We're not talking about going backwards on the numbers and the data and the plot and the model. I think that what this assistance is for is now what we're going to do next, which is to roll out what the work that's already been done to the public and assist with that process. But I do think that is subject to a particular bent,
I agree.
Possibly.
Yeah, I agree. So
that's up to us to manage. That's up to us to manage that, correct? And to manage the communication method. Because what I'm getting to is another thing on our agenda item tonight is to look at this critical path spreadsheet and the workload that's going on by administrative people in this group, particularly in land use this year, and make sure that we have enough staff and enough labor. And if we can get this grant and turn it into a labor grant, that somebody can manage them and say, this is what we need, how do you put it together? I think we'll be successful using the state money.
Okay, so under the original grant, this was not included, right? There was no phase for this. We got a technical memo. We got everything we were supposed to get from our original grant. So to Dave's point, right? It's a little odd that they heard a bunch of similar criticisms that we raised, and the response to that was, well, we'll give you more money to keep us involved, right? And to your point, Rick, so that's the answer to your question, Dave, is if there was a concern about a bent or bias that had ended, it's now back in play. Rick, to your question, now we have to manage something that we didn't have to manage before because that part of the process was over. And with respect to, the burden that's put on staff, frankly, we need to take on more responsibility as a board and do more as the board. And I think the select board, I'm not going to speak for the select board, but we need to have a meeting with the select board as well. I mean, we've already gone through this whole process. We've sat through 4 or 5 meetings with the consultant. They've given us the work product. We have the work product. We've studied it. We've started to discuss it. I think this would be counterproductive to introduce a consultant at this phase for now public participation, but that's just my opinion.
So let me ask you a question. When would he have to apply for this?
We can apply anytime.
Okay.
She sent me the email today. And I think what happened, Dan, is communities did get their technical memorandums. They got the information. They know, well, here's a district that's going to comply. But then they're saying, well, now what do we do with it? How do we get this out there? I went through a training session today, the one that MHP had done for the modeling spreadsheet. And I understand how it works, I think, but there's so many nuances to it that how do you tell the boards and committees how this all works? I mean, if we go to the select board and say, here's the district and here's the district and that's what we're gonna do, then they say, well, why? I'm not sure we all have enough understanding of it to explain it all the way in a way that, you know, would make sense and be easier for the public to understand.
Well, my take from this, Margaret, is that we're not in the weeds anymore as far as what are the details for the particular districts, right? We know what those answers are. How I look at this meeting that we're supposed to be having with the select board, which is that happening in the next couple of weeks, or I know there were dates floated, but okay. My thought on that meeting is that that's more of a policy discussion type thing, like which direction do we see this going? Not that we're going to do anything determinative, but we need to start the process so that when we have public participation meetings on this, we can present or we can be prepared for feedback, right? As to how do you feel about, you know, do you want to try to minimize compliance? Do you want to try to maximize, build as much as we can within the half-mile radius? Those are the kind of broader questions that we just...
Yeah, that's the issue, that we're not going to build anything, and that's what we want to make sure people understand, that we're not building anything. And
even
talking to Katie Lee,
that's not,
just as
that's not what I didn't mean build it, right? There are options for compliance here. We could take one of their scenarios, which would zone for 700 or 800 units, even though we only have to zone for 365. So I think we need to take the temperature of where is this going as a town issue. Like if people come out really heavily in support of, well, yeah, we're required to do 365, but we really want to do 500, or somebody comes the other way and like, no, we just want the bare minimum to meet compliance. I mean, that's what we need to hear, and we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay, no, that's fine. If we move forward the way you're saying and go to the select board with it and then get some public feedback, and then if we feel we need more assistance, we can go for grants then, because I'm sure they're going to continue this program.
I mean, I think the next step is really on us as a board, because we're the ones who've been briefed by the consultant that when we have this meeting with the select board, we need to be able to explain, this is what's been presented to us. These are our options.
Okay, that's fine. I'll work on.
And I'm not, sorry, Margaret, I don't mean to speak over you. It's tough on Zoom, but I don't mean to be putting more things on your plate.
There's no other plate.
Well, I think there's no other plate. I think we can do it. No, but I think we can do it among us as the board without overburdening you.
Okay. All right. No, I'm fine with that. Okay, so we'll wait. I'll talk to Steve and see when we want to do this. One other question I have is, when we do the presentation for MBTA with the select board, do we want to make it just that and try to get a special meeting to do just that? Because their agenda gets full, our agenda gets full.
I don't mind being on their agenda, but we have to be the first thing on their agenda.
Okay, all right.
They have a tendency to put visitors late in the meeting, and that's just not right.
I think it'd be great if it were a special meeting for both of us.
It's got to be a special. I don't care if it is, but if we are going to, it has to be.
All right. Let me talk to Steve on next week and see if we can schedule a special meeting. I think that would be a good idea, because I think when the word gets out that this is what we're talking about in a public meeting with the select board, you may have a lot of public there with questions.
You're scheduling it for next week?
No.
Okay.
No, next week I'll contact Steve and we'll schedule it.
And should we have some communication going out before that meeting in preparation for it? We don't have a communication plan.
Right.
You mean to the public? So that when they get there, they're not like all in a frazzle.
Yes or no. I'll just say this: we should absolutely put it on the internet that it's happening, and I welcome all the public to come. But I wonder, except for Peter Clay, how many of the select board members where we are, and I'd like to bring them into it first as a body with public input, but my priority would be let's get them into this as well.
I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure that we're thinking that of the constituent. Not just of the select board, because then if everybody shows up on the select board, it's going to be up to this joint board that night to potentially keep back people. You know what I mean? And then if they have a little knowledge, they might feel a little bit more comfortable about speaking. They'll know what they're talking about a little bit more. It could be very high level. It could just be bullet points. It's not going to change the character of the town. It's only an overlay district. It's not. We're not building anything. So that when people come to the meeting, they have a little bit of basis of fact, because the rumor mill is going to precede it.
So I look at the joint meeting with the select board as an opportunity for us to get feedback from the select board.
Yeah. Select board meetings are not very interactive with the public. They only allow a 2 or 3 minute session at the period at the very beginning of the meeting, and that's all the public comment there is.
So can we do this as a planning board meeting that has the select board? I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, we could do that. We could call a special planning board meeting and invite the select board.
Yeah, right.
To do, okay, all right.
Power guys, you're all attorneys.
Flip the powers.
All right, are we at the end of this never-ending agenda yet?
No, I have not ended this meeting yet. Discuss timeline and schedule.
Yeah, that was Rick and I had talked about that. I sent you that really lame Excel spreadsheet. I don't know how we want this to work. And you might want to wait for the other two members to be here when we really flush this out. Because there are a lot of things on your schedule coming up over the next couple of years, actually, with the master plan with MBTA. And again, once the master plan's completed, a lot of that responsibility is going to fall on this board to create the new zoning regulations and making those decisions. So is there a way that this board would prefer that we do suggested maybe a Google Calendar that's just for the planning board to, so I can fill it in so you know when things are happening or what deadlines are? I don't know. It's just something to think about.
I think I'd like to, I think it's important, Dan, also to start looking at labor hours needed. Do we have to go to the town for the next town meeting and say, look, this is our plan for the next 12 to 18 months. Once we approve our master plan, these are all the things that have to go in it. We're going to need help here, and here. Where can the town administrator find that labor? Or do we need to push our plan out to make sure that we have enough labor to do the everyday stuff as well as the major projects? So it's a labor exercise and a labor needed exercise as well as keeping everybody informed as to what we're doing.
Margaret, is that a request we make to the town administrator or to the select board? If you needed help, if we needed like an assistant or something.
That kind of thing would start at the budget hearings before town meeting. So budget, when did we start budget? Yeah, in the fall. In the fall. So in the fall we'd start budget meetings, and that's when our department say, look, we need more help. We're proposing this. Then it ends up at the select board. Everybody pretty much hears about it. So and FinCom. So we start with the town administrator and say, this is what we'd ask for with the budget.
And then what is our documentation going to be to support that? And this calendar could be a very important tool that's visual, that could show people, wow, this is all they're working on, and this is Margaret and this other half person, this quarter person can be brought in, and how do we do that to make sure we meet deadlines?
Okay.
Don't call them quarter people.
Why? I call it half
or half people.
Half-timers, part-timers, us part-timers. Okay.
Can I say 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 10 hours a week?
Okay. And the meeting minutes, did anyone have a chance to look at them? Sorry, David, just rip that right out of me.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's goodness, I don't want to go.
No, I understand, me too.
I don't want to go.
I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go. No, I understand, me too. I don't want to go.
I sent edits on July.
You have them.
I did.
Dan, do you want me to bring them up, or do you have a copy of them in front of you?
I'm fine. I'm fine either tabling minutes, I don't know how far behind we are, or approving as edited.
We're just two behind, correct? Three behind.
What's the oldest one?
June 8th.
All right, so can we go through that one? Working session.
I'm gonna bring up your draft at the end.
Yep.
There it is. Can you all see that? Hold on, Dan, I'm gonna share screen.
Yeah, they were just typos and spacing. It wasn't anything substantial.
Wait. We want those executive minutes up?
I can't see anything, by the way.
I know, hold on.
Nothing's shared. You want these up?
They're not
shared, correct?
They're just on.
They've already been, those have already been approved and released.
Say that approved. Yeah, these were approved. And released.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Okay. These are the open session. So 7/6 was the working session.
Well, 6/8 should still be meeting minutes from 6/8 non-executive.
Right. Oh, the non-executive. Okay. Sorry. That's right. The open session.
Is that, did we not have those last meeting? Is that what the deal was?
We didn't have the 6/8 ones the last
Okay.
meeting.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we table the July 6th working session minutes. And that, well, that's my motion.
I'll second
that motion.
I'm in favor.
I'll vote aye. Aye.
Okay, so I have edited July 13, and if we do June 8, we are pretty much caught up except for the working session.
Okay, July 13.
Do we? Have we gotten input? Do we need input from Ann and Peter? I know we have a list and that's troubling, but
You have three members here that can vote.
I know, but do we get their input or we don't think it's a big deal? They've had an, I agree they've had an opportunity. Okay, all right. Hey, that police car is with the select board right now. When they finish with the select board, they come talk with me. Page 2. Oh, no, it's 13.
That's just a little typo. Right. See those, Dan? These are your red lines.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Motion to approve the July 13, 2023 meeting minute notes as amended by Mr. Pasquarello.
I second.
Anderson, aye. Woodland, aye.
Pasquarello, aye.
Okay.
June 8 through June 8 right now. The paragraph that starts with the fire department. Do you have that, Catherine?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
What page are you on?
Page 1.
Okay.
It's like middle of the page.
I'm with you.
it should just be no issues were anticipated instead of issue.
Page 2, Jonathan T. I think it's R-A-M-O-N-A for Ramona.
Right.
And then two paragraphs down, planning board member Anderson, it's plan B given.
Right here.
Down 2 paragraphs. Plan B, yeah. Second line, plan B given.
Yep.
Okay.
Just the letter green right there.
Or is proposed and suggested. Like, I don't know what is supposed to be there, but is it like suggested the plan be given more thought to more appropriate housing?
I don't know. Is that what she was talking about, plan B?
No,
This historic area. Suggested plan.
Planning board. No?
No, we're looking at this sentence.
Yeah, I know.
Right here. And suggested the plan be given
More thinking?
suggested.
More,
I would say just that suggested the plan be more appropriate, or the plan, say the plan show more appropriate housing.
That's fine.
Historic character of the neighborhood.
I would go with that. Have the plan show more appropriate. All right, I don't have anything else. Anybody else?
no. So motion to approve the minutes of the June 8th, 2023 meeting as edited.
Second. In favor.
Mr. Woodland? Aye. Anderson, aye. Go ahead, Dan.
Is that the end of the agenda?
No, there's still other matters that may not have been reasonably anticipated by the chair.
Like an early motion to adjourn, which I move to do now?
I got a lot of things. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pasquarello?
Good night, aye.
Woodland?
Aye. Anderson, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good night.
And good
All right,
night.
guys.
Are you in
Are you in
Oklahoma?
Oklahoma?